Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Mocktails Podcast. I am T, your favorite auntie, and I have with me
D.
And it's me, your girl Bree.
And it's been a while, but we're back, and we are so happy to be back and to catch you guys up on life and just to really dive into some topics that we know you guys are interested to know. So we are just going to start with some updates on what's been going on in our lives because, we've been gone for a while. And so I think it's important to just let everyone know what we've been up to and kind of go from there. I think our last episode was around March, maybe?
Yeah, after we survived the winter storm.
Mm-hmm. Wow, so it's been a little bit. It's been a little bit. So let's see, what's been going on with you? What's going on with you, Bree?
Well, I am vaccinated, and with that, I'm back in the office working. I am back in the office working, and I feel so much better. I'm so much happier. Oh,
healthy.
The vaccine gave me freedom. Freedom from my apartment.
There you go.
And I after I was vaccinated, I got pneumonia. I don't know how. I was probably because I got caught in the rain. I got rained on pretty hard. And that was because my umbrella was in the car. I usually carry it in my bag, and I forgot to put it in my bag, so I got poured down on.
But you're better.
That's what happens when you go back to the office.
But you're better and you're alive and you're here.
Yeah, and happier.
Happier, amen?
Yeah.
That's important.
That's good. Awesome.
I'm happy that you're happier.
Happy that you're happier.
It's good. It's good.
And for you?
For me, the school year has come to an end.
Hallelujah.
I'm so happy. This has been the worst. Okay, I won't say so far of my teaching experience, it's been the worst year. It's been a lot of change, very different, very exhausting, mentally, emotionally. So I'm just happy that it's finished and I can have my summer break, reset, refresh, and just recharge and get it going. Yeah, so that's my update really.
And do they know about the business?
We've mentioned the business.
Is it booming?
How's it going? How's the business going?
I wouldn't say it's booming. It's fine.
Well, tell them to support.
I mean, we've already told y'all to support. I have a business called Danny and L Boutique. It is specifically for extended size clothing. So plus size clothing and extended size shoes. We're still working on the shoes. It's a headache. It is a headache.
But you have accessories, you have jewelry.
I have accessories.
All of it.
I have just little, just things that you would find in a boutique. So I have those things. The earrings are super cute. I love all the earrings.
She has handmade,
all kind of
locally made earrings.
Locally made earrings.
She's so humble.
She's
so shy. So support, as always.
DannyandL.com. DaniAndElle.com.
Holla. Holla. For me, I've started a new job since our last podcast. It is a 1-year position, so I'm actually in the process of looking for another new job to keep that going. Chances are they'll probably offer me something to extend, but if I can play my cards, I'm gonna still go for something different just because, just seeing what's out there for now. We'll see. Also, let's see, what else has been happening? Oh, my braces, they are off, so you see, we are out here, and then let's see what else is happening. Oh, I'm kind of going into a warm woman summer.
Warm woman summer. I've never heard of
What's that?
It's a little toned down from a hot girl summer. Lukewarm. Because right now, me and my individual that I have talked about, we're in a romantic break. We still communicate and all that kind of stuff. We just taking a little romantic break so that things can we can figure out some things in regards to what's going on with some different things in our lives. And then if we choose to come back, we'll do that. And if not, then I've learned a lot during this situationship thing, relationship, whatever. And I'm gonna take it for what it's worth. And so right now I'm a free-ish agent.
Free-ish.
So holla at ya girl, unless you're married. Unless you're a mom or a scrub, because I done been there before, but y'all know who not to approach me. But other than that, you know, I'm just out here. I feel good. I feel pretty good.
It was the bum part for me.
It's the bum for me.
It's the bum for me.
So, yeah, we out here. We are out here.
We are.
Summer's gonna be good. Everything's opening back up and getting to some normalcy, so.
I need summer clothes.
Me too.
I bought these shorts
And
like this week.
It's hot in Dallas.
It's
It's hot. It's gonna be 100 degrees pretty soon.
So,
Oh, yeah.
and I gotta get poolside ready and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. I'm thinking
Oh,
also
nice.
about getting a chef, a personal
Personal
cook,
chef.
yeah, to give me some meals throughout the week, just because I think it might be a good investment.
I have a little place where you can go and pick up meals on Greenville.
Yeah, send me that information.
Yeah.
Like
Just-
meal prep type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just have to warm it up.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about some things. I don't know. I just don't know. I need more. I can do it on my own. I just am in a period of life
Sometimes
where I
you're
don't feel
tired.
like it.
Yeah.
And so,
And then like, what would I rather do with my time? Like now that
Mhm.
you know we putting COVID in the rear, I want to live. I don't want to be in the house
Something
cooking.
No.
that makes me.
Ah.
That's a perfect transition. We are sponsored by, I'm just kidding. No, so speaking of women cooking, specifically Black women cooking. So we are all part of this group that we met through our church, and we have our own little subsets of groups. So we are a group within the group, and we often have side conversations about some of the ideas and opinions and things of the larger group. One of those pieces that we have conversations about is that we have this individual who is a dark-skinned, shorter, a little dad bod, 22-year-old man boy.
The key part is 22-year-old.
And most of the other individuals are on at least a solid 5+ years older than this individual in the group. And he is so gung-ho on, we'll have conversations and discussions about like dating and love and life and marriage and all this kind of stuff. And one of the things we talked about were in relation to picking a spouse. And one of his criteria is specifically around a woman mandatorily cooking for him, even though he didn't say every night. Technically, that's what he
Majority
implied.
of the time.
I'm sure his thought is a hot meal on the table every day.
Right,
Home cooked.
home cooked,
Home cooked.
and not casserole. He thinking fried chicken, cornbread, whatever to feed the soul. And he believes that he can only find a woman to marry if she's willing to do that for him.
If she can't do that, she's not an option for him.
She's not good wife material for him. So, what's your thoughts on the expectations of a woman having to do specifically cooking, because that's the majority of what he talks about, specifically cooking, in a marriage?
I think that number one, marriages aren't the same across the board. Every marriage is different. So there are different things that can happen in each marriage and it still can be successful. I think it is okay to have a preference.
Successful or on the track to
I'm done. I would say successful or on the track to success. We have a couple of friends who say that a marriage is not successful until it's finished. Like until, because it's death do us part. So you can't be successful until the death part, which means you could be married for 40 years 50, 60, but it's not
Until somebody
successful
dies.
until someone dies. But you can be on track to be successful.
Right.
I don't know. Whatever.
I disagree.
Right. I'm like, I don't know. I understand part of the thought behind it, but I wouldn't necessarily say I agree. So I think that a marriage can still be successful if they look differently. And I'm okay if someone has a preference for a preference specifically of their spouse, I guess. But that doesn't mean it has to be a requirement for every woman in the whole wide entire world. Like, that is not true. I disagree with that. I don't know if I answered the question, but that's what I have to say right now.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I cook because I have to eat, and I don't want to spend money eating out or every day of the week. And
you feel gross eating out every day.
It's dirty.
Yeah.
It's a little
It gets
dirty.
old.
You be tired.
But if I was married, I would not want the man to be like, you got to cook this, and this every night of the week. No. Some days you just be a little tired. And I would also want him to help with some of the cooking too. Like, it shouldn't be one person doing all the cooking. And like, how many kids do you have? Like, that's a lot of meals, a lot of food. And sometimes you're just not feeling it. And also in my house, we would do a lot of when I growing up, we would do a lot of random, we're gonna have just pick something out the refrigerator in the cabinets and just
we call it
figure
grab
out.
night.
Well, a grab night. Yes.
Grab it and eat.
Sometimes you might have to have a grab night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grab night.
And he needs to be
comfortable with that.
Yes.
I think part of the problem is that it's the expectation of it. Most of the time women choose to do things just because that's within our nature.
Yeah.
And we don't mind it.
And we don't mind it. The mindset behind this man boy is that he thinks he's this 70-year-old black man. And so he thinks that he's going to find a woman in this modern day who does not have a job, that is working a full-time 40 plus hours a week, and then wanting to come home every day to cook her man a meal, make sure he has meals, hot lunch, hot breakfast. And that's just not the reality in which we live in now. And so most of the time you're going to find women who, yes, we can cook and whatnot, but we might need some grab nights, or we might need you to step up because I also have a full-time job, or I might be working late tonight. So can you play your part in this partnership that we have in order to make this work for our family? And so his idea behind how women should have to do it, it's just, for me, the disqualification of a woman because she doesn't prefer to cook. You're missing out on all other. She can have good emotional stability, financial responsibility, good spiritual grounding, take care of you, love you unconditionally, all this kind of stuff. And then because she doesn't prefer to cook, maybe that's her trade-off. Maybe she's just like, I don't want to do the cooking in the relationship, but I'll clean for you, I'll do this, that, and the third, and I don't care. But because she doesn't cook, that's what you're gonna, everything else but the non-cooking, that's what's gonna deter you.
Yeah.
You got some maturing to do, my brother. You gotta mature.
And it's very rare that you find someone who loves cooking.
I love to cook, but it's.
I was gonna add, I forgot to say this. I don't mind cooking.
Yeah.
I'm okay, not necessarily having that expectation on me, but if that is what we decide as a partnership,
right,
that you would prefer for me to cook most nights, for the right person, I'm willing to do it. But we have to come to a compromise. I'm not gonna clean the kitchen.
Yeah.
If I'm cooking every night,
right.
Number one, I don't know about every night. Okay, anyway.
But if it is leftovers,
okay,
right. There's enough of leftovers. So if I cook the majority of the time, I'm not cleaning the kitchen before or after at all. You can clean. You can help me. We can be in the kitchen together. I cook.
Debriefing my day.
Right. That's different. I guess I picture it when he says it is he's sitting on, or maybe not him, but any man who says that, I picture them sitting on the couch with the remote in their hand while the wife is in the kitchen cooking and slaving and sweating and tired after her long day trying to take care of the kids, do the laundry and all of that. And that is just not, that does not seem like a positive, right? Or
it seems like that person would be very unhappy,
right? No, and that's not what we're wanting. Okay, so I think that's the issue. You can't just I don't know.
But it's also, I also don't like the piece in the conversation about how they think Black women specifically don't do this for men. Like, they don't cook for their men. And so they're like, white women or women of other races are more, what'd you say? They say submissive.
That's the word that is used. I wouldn't use that, but that is what they say.
Right. In that area. And so it's like, but no, that's not the case. And if we look at history, what he's thinking of is his big old Black grandmama cooking for his big old Black granddaddy. So the fact that he thinks Black women won't go ahead and take care of the household like we need to is just always so shocking, because I hate the narrative around women, Black women, not being as homely or domesticated or as willing to be submissive, even though that's not the right word that they need to correlate with cooking specifically. Slavery is more the word that they need to use. And so because we're not willing to just be this used mat anymore, because we also have careers and jobs and this, that, and the third, I just hate that narrative around that. But he also likes white women, so, you know, that's another thing.
That's his preference.
Yeah. That's what he wants.
And he likes to put Black women down in the process.
Right.
So he can explain why he likes white women.
We coming for everybody. You know who you would we talking about if you watching it.
I'm sweating a little bit. I'm nervous.
You know who you are.
What I was gonna say is I don't like the narrative either, mainly because you're speaking from experience in your regular relationships, not in marriage. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not speaking from being married before and saying women are like, I need this, or Black women don't do that. You've never been married, so you don't know what your wife would, a Black woman would do for you specifically, or any woman. You have this idea, and we're not, if we're talking of submission in the sense of the Bible, you're not supposed to be submissive to your boyfriend or a guy you like. It's supposed to be your husband. So, like, yes, there are certain things you can, I guess, certain characteristics you could see in a mate that could show you if they will be submissive later on, but that's not something that is a requirement pre-marriage or engagement, shall I say. So of course we're not going to be submissive because you ain't our husband.
Yeah.
And that's on who?
Her.
Mary had a little
We didn't get it.
I didn't even hear what you said. Oh, that's so funny.
So we're gonna get up with that
We
cultural
got to get on the
references.
same,
It's fine.
right,
It's been a
the
minute.
same page.
It's fine. It's fine.
So what do you want? What did you want?
Mary.
But I have been
Per, yeah.
Well, I said that because she had said
It's a per, right?
Oh,
right.
okay. Got it.
It's okay.
And also, what was I gonna say? I lost it. They make it seem like we're not submissive as friends. Like, we don't have like submissive traits.
Yeah.
But you're our friend.
Right.
Number one, you're
So
not
I'm not
dating
gonna be
us. Number
Fixing
two,
your plates at the little get-togethers.
And it's not that we.
And if I do, I will.
Right, and they make it seem like because we're against the expectation of cooking that we won't cook. I'm okay with cooking, but if you tell me it is expected of me every single night, regardless of how I feel about it, that's different.
Right, because there's no compromise.
That's
There's
definitely
not hearing my needs and my wants and my desires. You're not being a good husband at that point.
Right. Oh. Good
How
point.
about yourself? Let's look internally. Let's have some introspection, because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. How about that?
How about that?
Well said.
You know,
Good.
that's just one of those things. That kid, he got a lot of maturing to do, and it's sad to see, but hopefully he'll get there. It's just one of those things, and sometimes the overly churchy men in the group can kind of get like that on different topics, and their expectations of, I don't know, they have this like very holy, saved way of thinking. Not like saved in the sense of salvation, but churchy,
Church.
And
very
I always
churchy
question what went on in your house? Like, how did your mom and dad navigate the cooking or the
their dynamics,
fixing the plate? Like, because you put down Black women saying they don't fix plates for their men, so like, if that's such an expectation of yours, like, did you see that in your own home growing up? Like, it's still confusing.
See, like, my mom will fix my dad's plate, but my mom's not a good cook, so she doesn't cook. She doesn't. Like, that's how the household I grew up in. She can make a few little dishes, but she's not the main cook in the house. My dad was always that. But, like, she had all these other, she'll wash dishes, she'll wash clothes, she'll clean the bathroom, like, all
She keeps the house running.
Yeah,
like,
you know.
organizational wise, I'm sure she's like.
Right, there's other facets to her that makes her a good wife and all this other stuff that, you know, just because she can't cook doesn't mean, could she not be a wife because she couldn't cook? She was willing to learn, she's just not a good cook. And so it was kind of easier for her at a certain age to, you know, you already got 6 kids, I'm gonna teach you how to cook too. Like, let's just, we scrap that, you know, this, that, there, I'll cook because I know how to cook, and then you can just, we'll figure this out. So I didn't see that dynamic, so it makes me kind of like, you know, it just, when you see differences in how marriages function out of the non-traditional, like, societal norms, it keeps you more open to, you know, how life can be. Because then my dad got sick, and my mom was the majority of the breadwinner in that sense. So it's also like, there's so many different things that like I saw differently, but they have a very, in a sense, like, traditional kind of family structure and marriage and things like that. So,
and
I don't know.
With that thought process of the wife cooking all the time, but what if she gets sick, like you were saying your dad did? Like, are you willing to be the main person cooking every single night?
Exactly.
Like, and if your answer is no, well, I feel like their answer would be yes. But if your answer is no, then you need to rethink that whole
narrative in your mind process and stuff.
My aunt and my uncle, they kind of have untraditional
things that they
roles when it comes to cooking. Not that my aunt doesn't cook, she just cooks a lot less, because my uncle is more of the cooker. He likes to cook, he enjoys it, and he just be cooking all the time. So my aunt is just like, I don't have to all the time, I don't need to.
And
I let him cook, and that works for them. And just because it looks different than what traditional is, that doesn't mean it's bad or wrong.
And if you get too cocky, you don't, the person that feeds you has a lot of power.
Right.
That's how you poison the king. Keep playing. Keep putting that expectation out there. You're going to get a little something extra in your meal that you weren't prepping for. So let's think that through a little bit. Let's think it through, because it's an important role to cook. But, like, you know, you got to think about that. That's just my thoughts. Any other things on that?
Just kind of with the same thing. What are we talking about with expectations in general? Are there anything like y'all don't want to do that's like a normal expectation of a wife in marriage? I know that's like a really pondering type of question, but
I don't want to do.
Or maybe something you are okay with, or just in general about expectations. Any thoughts?
I'm okay with, I don't know if this is typically an expectation, but, like, I'm okay with clipping my man's nails and stuff.
You've mentioned that before.
I did that one too. He was my husband, but I was like, give me that toe, ingrown toe. I was out here snip, filing it down. I don't care about that.
That's an expectation, but that's just
That's
something
the
you're
one.
doing.
Yeah.
My mom was cutting my dad's toenails, and my sister-in-law was doing the same thing for my brother. And I was like, once I found out that they both were doing it, I knew my parents did it, but I did not know about my brother. And I was like, is this some expectation in there? And I was like, is this
that I didn't know?
Yeah, like, like,
You said no.
my mom taught my dad into getting a pedicure, so he's
That's
into
right.
pedicures
That's,
now.
that's what my parents do. They just get pedicures together.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
took him to go get a pedicure. He loved it.
Okay. That's
Like,
good.
that's actually kind of nice.
Right.
Thank you.
I don't know if my mom does or doesn't. I've never seen her do that. But I've seen her like clip his ear hair or his nose hair.
Do
or
kind of
something.
stuff like that.
I was
Yeah.
like, y'all nasty. But I mean, I guess because he can't see it. So I mean, that's the next
That's
best person.
love.
She looks at him all day. So
Right. Like,
she's like,
you got something
come
in your
here.
little
Come here. Right.
My dad clips his own nose hairs, but my mom has to clean up the sink after because he doesn't do a very good job.
That sounds like marriage right there.
Oof.
Not cleaning up and then having, yeah.
It'd be nice if I could have somebody to do laundry. I could do pretty much every other chore. I don't mind doing pretty much every other chore, but laundry just be taking it out of me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like doing laundry. I do it, but if I found somebody that was like, I'll do the laundry for you.
So you're gonna assign chores. This is your chore, this is my chore.
I think I
That's
naturally
fine.
kind of do chores. I mean, just now. So I think when I see something, like even when I go home to visit my parents, if I see that they need something done, I just go and do it. And I feel like that'll still probably be, except for things like yard work.
Mm-mm.
I mowed the lawn once in my life with a little push thing. I said, like, y'all got me messed up.
I'm not doing yard work. I'm not
I
doing
refuse.
gardening.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not,
would do gardening.
I'm not going outside.
Especially when
If it's
hot.
work outside, I'm not doing it. I will be inside. And if you don't want to do it, we can get a yard man.
We can
Yeah.
get a yard.
Pay somebody
We can
to come
also
do
get
it.
a cleaning lady.
That too. My parents have a cleaning lady.
Yes, I think about all that. If we really are just like, this is just not going, we're gonna have to pay it. That's just what our
Right.
monthly bills.
And they'll like deep clean. Like even if you kind of do stuff normally, they can come once a month, a
Right.
couple times a month, and just.
Take care of some
Mhm.
stuff.
That's true. What was I gonna say? I don't know that I would like calling it assigning chores, but I feel like that's what I would do. It's like, so what do you like to do? Do you what do you like? Not enjoy, but what don't you hate doing that is a chore? Like me, I'll do laundry.
Mhm.
I'm okay with that. I will wash the clothes every day of the week and fold them. I don't always fold them right away.
Yeah. They
As
may
a
sit in the
as
dryer
a
for a
single
little bit.
They be
person.
sitting there.
But as a married person, I could get myself together and fold them. You know,
Yeah.
I don't mind doing that. I don't mind cleaning the bathroom. Like I don't mind doing those things. I just don't want to wash dishes.
Yes.
I
I
can
clean
eat
up
all
after
that.
the cooking is the worst.
It's the worst. And you're exhausted from cooking, and then you eat, and then I just.
It's really the dishes that you eat with, because majority of the time, when
Yeah.
I'm cooking and cleaning as
at
I
the same
go.
time, yeah.
But you do be a little tired after, especially once you sit down and eat, you be like, I don't know who's
And
gonna
I
get up
just
to do
keep
these
looking
dishes.
in the kitchen like.
And then
I gotta go put the food away.
Yeah, I'll eat and then sit there and be like, oh, sit there for a while.
A while.
And be like, man, I gotta get them dishes.
Yes.
It's time. You gotta
That's
get up
it.
and get them.
That's it.
Man. But sometimes I feel like, once I have kids,
Have them.
I kind of want multiples. I'm really gonna try to have, take some drugs to get, triplets.
Drugs.
I am. I already, listen. Anyway, we'll get to that if that ever crosses.
The
So-
kids gonna have chores.
For
Oh,
sure.
yes, when
but
they get older,
when
they're
they're
taking it
young,
over. I was
be a stay-at-home little mama. I'll be here, baby. Want a hot pancake for breakfast?
bring them lunch.
Bring
in
'em.
the middle of the day.
Your lunch and your quickie, all in the same.
Oh, I was talking about the kids.
Oh, imagine. I was like, yeah, bring your little hot lunch and a little quickie on the no.
Nothing's wrong with that. But
Yeah.
I was referring to the kids. I was like,
Come
wait,
back home, have
hold
a hot
on.
meal,
That's hilarious.
I
What was the next question I was gonna say? Still on the same topic. Are there expectations you have of a husband of certain things that you would expect him to do?
You
around
gotta
the
do
house?
that yard work.
The yard
You
yard
got to get out there.
Taking out the trash.
I don't mind the trash, but I would hope he would take it out. I could do trash, but I just.
And to clean the kitchen when I cook.
I guess we kind of talked about all
Yeah.
that then. Yeah, that makes sense.
And make the bed.
I don't
Well,
know.
I guess it depends on who getting out of the bed.
Yeah.
Him, because I gotta make his hot breakfast.
I would say him making the bed because I won't.
I gotta feed the
I will
babies.
not make my bed. I don't. I only make my bed when I wash my sheets.
Really?
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't make my bed.
I'll be hit or miss some weeks when it's really tough, I don't make it, but usually I usually make it.
But I like
If
the
I'm
messy-
running late for work, I don't make the bed.
Right.
If I'm on time, I make the bed.
But once I'm a stay-at-home mama and I'm waking up to
That's
make
different,
breakfast,
right?
I got a couple babies on the teats, and
The
then you
teats.
get up and you shower, you make that, you take them covers, you fold them over so they can be ready. Because as soon as you go to work, I'ma just, you left the bed unmade again.
My mom does that. So she would get out of the bed first, and she would kind of halfway make
Make
her
her
side of the
side.
bed, and then she'd come back home later in the evening, and the other half was
It would
still
be unmade.
sometimes, and I would hear her like, "All you had to do was right. It was not that hard. Just
You
pull
saw,
the
I
bed
pulled, I did the
right."
example for you. I showed you what you needed to
I've
do.
heard her do that before. That's
My dad, if he's the last one out of bed, he will try to make it, But the pillows, like the throw pillows.
They don't really care.
They don't care about
Men
anyway.
hate pillows.
They don't.
He does a
They
terrible job
hate
with the throw
pillows.
pillows.
I believe that.
I'd be like,
I love.
don't you love all my pillows on this bed? They're like,
I
why
like-
do you have 8 pillows?
I like to feel like I'm sleeping on a cloud.
Right.
Like all around me.
I
hate
love
pillows.
pillows.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love them. What's another question we can talk about? Was that for me?
You want to do yours?
Any more household topics?
I don't think so.
Go on and tell us the topic of how we got to this next question.
Well, the next question is just, related to, would you be cautious if...
Explain the situation.
Oh.
Go ahead. We already talking about people.
No.
I'm gonna explain it since
Like,
you don't want to. They all know what we're talking about.
Not
So
me.
in this group that we're all a part of, we have an individual who was dating this woman who I just found out they were probably like 7 years apart, and she was older. Dating this woman probably for 2 years. Proposed to her last year.
Around this time.
Was it around this time?
Mhm.
Around this time, they got engaged, whoop whoop, getting married, announced to everybody, hey, we getting married, turning up. So then, we haven't hung out with the larger group in, I don't know how long.
Yeah. It's
Long
been
time.
a while.
Long time. And you hung out.
Yeah, well, it was Daniel's birthday, and some of us had gotten together for Daniel's
Gotcha.
birthday. And I had asked if they had the wedding yet, because I hadn't heard any updates.
Or like, what's going on?
Yeah. Like, when's the wedding? And so when I asked it, it was so awkward, the silence.
Dismissed.
People, just dismissed. No one said a word. And I was like, oh, that was really,
Did I think that?
I
Or
was like,
was I making that up?
I was like, I felt really uncomfortable. I was like, something's going on there. I was like, what's happening? Are they together, not together, whatever? And I told Taja about it whenever she got back into town. So she did some internet searching.
Investigations. And I'm to find out that this man ended up getting married to a different woman completely out of nowhere, posted their union on Instagram, showing the world, hey, this is my wife. And so I was shocked because I was like, what happened? This, he had found this woman who he wanted to be with, and then they just weren't. And how quickly after he had just got engaged, and now he's married to somebody else.
Yeah, married a completely different woman within a year.
Now, granted, we have no
of
idea
being engaged.
what happened in that year. It's just
Engaged and married again in the same within 8 years, 65 days.
Yeah,
That's what it
people usually get engaged and plan their wedding to that same person in a year.
Right.
You got engaged and married a completely different person in a year.
2 engagements within the span of however long and got married. So, would you be cautious? Now, granted, the guy, from what I know of him, I don't know much, but he seems like a good guy, for whatever good guy means. But I don't know. I feel like I'd be if somebody told me they had just been engaged and then I formed this relationship with them and they proposed to me within that same probably 6 months. I don't know. I don't know if I would be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Personally.
I mean, I would want to know everything about why the previous engagement ended. Whose fault? Who's the primary
And I'm gonna talk to the
person to
woman.
blame? Yeah. Well,
Okay.
because you need to confirm it. You need to confirm it. Tell
a
the
little
truth.
something, right? Because I'd still be.
Or ask some people, who may know. But yeah, I would have a lot of questions. I definitely would not jump into a marriage that quickly. We would be dating for a while to make sure that the guy was ready. Are you just going around throwing out engagement rings to everybody?
That's Christian culture, churchy culture. That's what we do. We get married fast. Because Big G-O-D tells us, in whatever fashion that is for people, hey, this gonna be your person. So I guess they'd be like, why wait to get married when I want to lay that thing down? You know what I'm saying? That's what it really stems from a lot of times, unfortunately, for those who aren't familiar with church culture. specifically really churchy.
It's not a good
Yeah.
reason to get married.
People want to not be sinning, if you will, by getting married in that sense. Would you trust it?
Now, granted, we don't know, like you were saying,
Yeah.
like we would need to find out all that happened. But of course, I think anyone in their right mind would be cautious about that situation and need to know more information. So yes, of course, I'd be cautious.
Is there a time, so say that wasn't the case, is that still too quick of an engagement in marriage for you? Would you be comfortable with that?
If they were dating the whole year? Or how do, like,
Well,
what do you mean?
This specific second relationship, I don't know how long that other engagement was. So say September, it ended. I guess he would maybe have met the next person at that point. And then from there, is there a certain amount of time, but with this one, so say it was September to, we're finding this out May. So that's, less than a year of engagement, dating, engagement, and marriage. Is that too soon?
I don't have a problem with it, but we would have to have had spent a lot of time together having really important conversations. So I wouldn't put a number on how long we would have to be together to get married.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's a number. Now, the smaller amount of time it is, I would be a little nervous about doing it, because how do you really know a person that soon? But I wouldn't put a time limit on either. You're saying if that previous relationship wasn't,
wasn't.
How
If you just
quickly-
met someone, how quickly would you?
No, I just
from
met
meeting
you.
to married.
Right.
This is
I think
crazy.
it would have to. I think I would still be apprehensive, because I'd be in my head like marriages don't always last, and I need to make sure that I know you. But granted, how long does it take to know a person? It depends on how much they show you.
A lifetime.
Like it just exactly like you could still marry someone after a couple of years and still not know certain parts of them.
They're always
each other,
changing.
right.
People are always
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah.
Like so, it's hard to say a number, but I would still be very.
Would you say yes?
It would depend on.
Yeah, I would want us to be
It would
talking
depend.
about marriage
Prior to
before
that?
someone proposing. Like I wouldn't want a proposal just like
We
out of the
haven't
blue. We haven't even
talked
talked
about
about marriage.
No, that's
Interesting.
We would
I
need to
don't
be talking
think-
about what our married life would look like. That's because you were talking about the cooking and the housework. Like we need to be having conversations to see if we're compatible
in that
with
way.
that before we get married. Because I feel like that a lot of that kind of
Well,
stuff.
could you get engaged and then do like marriage counseling before you get married, and would that help you figure out like?
Yeah,
That would help, but how do you know if you want to marry someone if you don't know what they expect a marriage to be?
Yeah.
Like what they want a marriage to look like?
yeah.
Because, no, sorry, nothing. I'm
No,
gonna
go
say
ahead.
that was petty. No, like
Say
I
it.
said,
Say it.
I'm
We
not.
here for the petty.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Sorry.
I mean, I'm likewise, like this last like situationship that I've been in really made me be like, because I used to think like, oh, I wouldn't probably do it too soon because blah 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 whatever, and then I found myself developing love and feelings for this individual, and we had a lot of important conversations and whatnot, and I was like, this could be this one, I feel like I could hear it, and so that's a whole little, I don't know, well no. But I was feeling like, oh, I guess this is where that like quickness could come from in a certain sense, because I used to be like, man, hearing this situation, if I would have heard that like, oh, this man did this, I would have been like, no way, Jose. But I can kind of, having been in that situation, kind of see where it can kind of be like, oh, okay. But now this extra time has allowed me to see different things about this person. And I'm like, oh.
And had you like, let's say, married him like 3 months ago, you wouldn't have seen these things that happened in the past 3
Now
months.
that commitment would have been there still.
Right, but you just would have had to.
Right. At this point, I get to choose
Yeah.
if this is something right now that I want to be able to have to deal with for the rest of my life. So that's just the reservation more so, and thinking about I have time to choose that if I want to go down that path or not. But I could see I would be, and also kind of being in that situation, I kind of realized I am a little more like, I always wanted to be a wife and could see myself married and kids and stuff, whatever. But when it got that close, I kind of was like, ooh, is this real? Like,
I remember you were like,
I kind of felt like I was getting cold feet. And I was like, like, I never thought that I would experience that because I was just, and at first I was still so gung-ho about it, but then I was like, I'm really kind of nervous. And I don't know where that comes from, you know, being sure in myself, but like, you think about all the failed marriages or all this kind of other stuff, and you're just like, how do I know this person's gonna be in it like me? And you know, even though you can't think about that, because that's what's gonna set you up for failure, is that like you try to not trust your person fully, you know. But boy, it would be nerve-wracking, that's for sure.
Yeah.
When I already have, you know, these, I wouldn't say trust issues, but you know, marriage is big.
Wow.
Marriage is big.
Trust issues.
Oh,
That's Drake. You don't know that song?
Damn, we don't never.
You know.
We
I
never know.
no.
I can't trust these. I'll play it for y'all
Yeah,
later.
it's like, not I.
I don't think it was on an album. It was just a single.
Mm.
So it's probably on Care Package, but it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
Never forget my references. One day I'll find someone who will.
Yeah, you will. Boo thing. What else we got? So I was watching a little bit of this show called Married at First Sight, the Unmatchables or Undateables, one of that, whatever the word is. And a conversation came up. One of the experts was meeting with this individual and was looking at his like home. And she was in there and she was like, this is why you probably have troubles keeping a woman, because when you walk into your space, it looks like you're in a dorm room. So just very like kind of
Manly.
College.
not even manly though, more so like a young boy, college, not really many things on the wall or just like a poster, twin bed, you know, just certain kind of like furniture aesthetics, like plastic cups instead of, you know, not even like the solo cups, like plastic cups from like a little gas station that you drink at, nothing adult like.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, because she was like, that's the reason why people probably look at this and then are like, you seem unstable and like you're just going to be able to like uproot at any point. So is that something that I guess you think about with a man? Like if you met a man, does his living situation, whether it's like he has a bunch of roommates or he lives with his mom or whatever, or how his house aesthetic is, whether that's like apartment house, whatever, and how it's decorated internally, does that say anything to you about the man? Like, would you be questionable or thinking something about the man in regards to how he's living?
Yes. I mean, I don't expect a single man's apartment to be as decorated as a woman's or anything like that. But when you see like something that looks like they still live in college, it's like, what's the maturity level with this person?
And this man, for preface, was like probably 26. So
It'd be a red flag.
interesting. Okay. You would relate that back to maturity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, are you still trying to live like a college lifestyle?
Okay.
I don't know if decoration and like furniture, I don't know if that would play a role in, I guess, how I thought about them. I don't think it would. I would just think they're a man and they just
Don't have that.
don't
Yeah.
have that. Right, don't have that. I don't think that would bother me. Now, I would say prior to the last couple of years, I did make assumptions about men who didn't live alone, shall I say. If they had roommates or if they lived with a parent. But in the past couple of years, I have met people and know people who are late 20s, maybe early 30s, who have had roommates, and then others who have lived with parents. And I don't think, not that it's not that you shouldn't make assumptions about them, but the assumptions you usually make about them aren't necessarily what the situation is.
What were your assumptions, if you remember?
With the roommates, I would say why can't, like, I mean, let me think. I don't know if I can think before. I'm trying to think before and not put the situation into it. But I would think it was more so being cheap because they
So
don't
roommates
want to
are
spend
also roommates.
Oh, that's not. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about in general.
Your own bedroom.
It's like having your own bedroom. I would just think at a certain age.
Yeah.
Like that's more collegey. Like that would show maturity. I think.
Yeah. Right out, I get it right out of like first job out of college, but then
Right.
like getting late 20s, 30s,
Right.
like
Right.
I would expect you to live alone.
Right. That would make me think about your maturity a little bit. And then living with parents before that, I would just think you aren't like adults. But in my mind, I think differently than people sometimes. Like I think adults live alone. Like you don't live with your parents. Like after college, that's you. You're by yourself.
Right.
Not by yourself. That sounds
yeah.
bad. But in my
Yeah.
mind, that's what I always thought was supposed to happen. You move out of your parents' house. You know,
Create your own life.
create your own life, get your own place, do your own thing. But then I've also matured and realized that that's not like everybody doesn't have to follow that path, and it doesn't say anything. Not that it doesn't say anything. It doesn't necessarily mean something negative because they don't at a certain age, I think. But at an older age, I don't know.
Are you still under the like?
I don't know.
If late 20s, early 30s, like if they still don't live by themselves, is that still questionable to you?
I mean,
Be honest with the people.
I would prefer them to live alone, but I wouldn't be like,
Overly tripping over it.
yeah.
Yeah. We even had some friends, since we already putting tea out here, we had some
I'm
friends
not
who
putting this
are,
nowhere.
they know who we talking about, so I'm not just alone in this, who 4 guys, a townhouse, 2 bedrooms, 2 men in each bedroom. Literal roommates.
Dorm room style.
Dorm room style. And they are late 20s, early 30s. All the men. That to me speaks somewhat to the individuals because I personally probably would not be with somebody who had an actual roommate at that age, because at that point you are just being cheap. So you're not just like the things that you sacrifice for as an adult, you're telling me your prioritization in what you want, because I need to see you having some traits and aspects of like what I would want to see in a husband ahead of time. So like if you're being too cheap to prioritize your own living space, not saying that you can't have roommates, but the actual roommate, I think that you're not, the maturity is just not there. You're being too cheap in that aspect of like growth, because that's a turnoff. I'm gonna be real honest. That is a big turnoff to me as a woman. Even the thought of, even still, I sometimes think about like, okay, if you have roommates, that's one thing, but the living with a parent, that sometimes still to this day, even though I know some people who do that, it may contribute to their parents' household, like financially or whatever, or their parent lives with them and not the opposite way around, whatever. That's still somewhat of a turnoff to me in how I am now. Not saying that that's going to be the end all be all, but just kind of like,
Be like, I would pause. Like,
yeah. Now, if you have roommates, I can kind of understand that, because I'm like, okay, I get that. Still, even though I prefer you to still live by yourself, but like if you had roommates, I'm like, okay, whatever. But living with your parents still, after
Some people
25,
may be afraid to live alone.
get
some
some
men-
roommates.
I'm saying,
You don't
like,
need to
they may have
have
roommates.
business like that.
They may have roommates that they
You got to
scared.
go. And then
They
it
trying to go from the roommate's house to the married house.
because, and it's like, you know, because I also think about when I want to hang out with somebody, that means if you don't, I feel more comfortable going over to a man's house who had roommates than I would if he lived with his parents.
Oh yeah.
So now I gotta hide in the basement because your daddy and mama walking upstairs, and I'm like, I don't want to have to meet them. I don't want to go in there because now I gotta, you know, like I'm watching the clock all intensely because I'm like, I gotta be out here. You're about to go to, you know, whatever. I don't want that pressure, and then I don't want you to have to always come over to my house. Like, we need some give and take, but you can't do that as freely when you can't really date that well. Not saying that you can't always go out for dates, but eventually that gets tiresome. So like, I'm gonna want to go to your place, you're gonna want to come to my place. And I can't come to your place if you with your parents. I can't. Not when we're just, early on and stuff like that until it's more serious. So.
Even then, I wouldn't want to hang out with mom and dad.
All right. I'm like, You out there trying to cuddle with your boo. They come down to do the laundry. And now you up there like, oh gosh. Hey, hi. Like, I just don't have energy for it. I don't. I'm not saying that that's the end all be all, but it does say something to me.
Mm-hmm.
It does. Prioritize your life in a certain way, men. Yeah. Because it's starting to show. If you want marriage, if you want a family, if you want this, you got to start living like that to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Ahead of time.
What if they don't want it?
If they don't want it, then keep living with your mama.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're gonna get in with. You ain't
and also,
gonna be together.
If you're living alone, that means you're doing some domestic, like house stuff, and you can bring that into the marriage. You have something to contribute. Because like I don't know, a man that's been living in mom's house, mom been doing his laundry and all that stuff. Like he maybe want me to be mama, and I don't want to do that.
Ooh, I ain't your mama. That's a fact. And I feel like that could very much blur the lines going from the mom house to the marriage house. And you're like, you still, right.
Well, my mom.
Well, I'm not touching your funky draws. Like, no, just playing. I'm gonna touch your draws, but I'm just saying, like, you gotta.
They may want you to iron them like mama do.
Right. Now you comparing me to. You just don't have energy for it. So yeah, that's just been what's going on. Any other things in that area?
Nothing for me.
Nothing for me.
Me neither.
The more individuality you have, the better. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
In that realm. Let's see, is there anything else that we need to update the people on or talk about while we're here?
No one's really made any progress towards our marriage goal, but we're working on it.
I know. This summer,
yes.
We're coming at you. We're coming at you.
Yeah.
I actually regressed back some, so we'll see. It could propel forward. We're just waiting on a couple things real quick, so we just got to see what happens, But hey, that's to be discussed maybe in a future podcast. But for now, that's gonna be between me, my mans, who's not my mans, and
Well, watch what you call them.
I know. We still communicate. That's why it's hard and sometimes be like, we're taking a break, but So yeah. Do we have any Black business shout outs that we want to give today? We could do.
Oh yes,
Press roots.
I have my hair straightened this week. It's brought to you by Press Roots, which is just like a blowout bar for Black women. You've heard of affordable. Like you heard of like dry bar or whatever for white women. Like I'm not letting them do that. My hair no. So this right here, Press Roots, is a blowout bar for Black women. It's affordable. This was $65 compared to like $150 that you
in
would
those
get
surrounding areas.
And any other natural hair.
Yeah.
Press Roots,
Dallas.
Pretty Grows, Dallas.
Shout you out. We love y'all. So, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if you've gotten this far, thank you.
Thank you.
Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff to our podcast. Grab you a drink next time and drink along with us while we talk. And we'll see you next time on another episode of the Mocktails Podcast.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.